Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Satsang. Let's make some silence first. So once again, good morning everyone, welcome to Satsang. Today we're just on Instagram because the retreat is going on and, well, that's what it's possible. Je vais répondre à tes questions. Okay, so I'm going to translate here so that everybody can understand. Dear Shima, do we have to accept ourselves radically in order to accept God? Do we have to accept ourselves so that humility, true humility, opens the way to liberation? Does the acceptance of our limits allow the purification of these? Or is it a waste of time? With all my gratitude. Well, life is a preparation, and there is no preparation possible. It seems like two opposite statements, but they have just different meanings. Because when the calling begins, the serious calling, not curiosity, not all of that. But as the serious calling begins, it begins. It means it's time to move forward. To move forward in the most intense way possible. And nothing in this world will prepare you for this. On the other hand, life is a preparation. It's a preparation in the sense of not developing the capabilities, because it's not about that. As you are capable, it's not transforming, it's not liberating, because you're still in control and surviving whatever is happening. But the preparation that life gives, supposedly, is onto the value of life, onto the value of things, onto the value of liberation. So life gives you a perspective that there's nothing here that really matters. So that when the call for liberation comes, you can embrace it fully. And everybody has its own experiences that attest to this in some form or another. But the thing is, not all embrace their experience, because the hope that things will be different manages to survive on and on despite the actual factual experience. And this is a very common process. People looking to their own experience and saying, oh, but now it will be different. Oh, but now I know a little bit more. It's not that things don't have a value on its own. It's because I have some problem. And when I solve that problem, circumstances will have that which I'm looking for. So the preparation is more or less in this sense for you to be able to value the treasures of spiritual life. And to value means that you will hold on to them no matter what happens. So, do we have to accept ourselves radically in order to accept God? Well, first of all, from your standpoint, if you're not desiring God with all your being, so what's the point? Because maybe it's the way the sentence is being put, but it's perspective. Accepting ourselves to truly accept God, it means like something that, well, do you think God will be pleased if you accept Him? And He will reward you with something? If your heart is crying for liberation, it's you who wants to be accepted by God, not the other way around. Not if you're trying to accept God, well, go do something else, because that's wasting time. Because if things are in the right place, it is you who wants profoundly to be accepted by God. And to be accepted means for God to take you closer and closer to Him. This is what it means, towards oneness. So if you're trying to accept yourself and then trying to accept God, well, wasting time. It means that there's no clarity, that the goals are completely different. So it will not take you far, because there's not even a path to walk through. So the point of maturity is to have the intense desire to be accepted by God, to be taken by God. Self-acceptance is something which is impossible. You can learn to deal with that concept. You can learn to accept certain things, but deeply, deeply, it's impossible. And the answer is simple to that. You're not that. So you're not that body-mind complex. So whatever is there, it's unacceptable, deeply unacceptable. But you can learn to be more compassionate towards that existence. You can learn to live with it, to take care of it, and at many levels you can learn to accept it. But the reality is you are not that, and there's something deep in you that knows it. So how can you really accept that? Do we have to accept ourselves so that true humility opens the way to liberation? True humility doesn't come from acceptance. It really doesn't. It comes from understanding, from maturity. And humility is something very complex in nature. It is simple to attain, but it's complex in the sense that it's difficult to understand how it works. If you're wondering in your mind, trying to reason that, because you lack the vision, usually. But the vision is also quite simple. You can practice whatever you want of humility. It doesn't work. It doesn't go deep. The ways to go for it to come from within deeply is to embrace the situations, the opportunities where you're being pushed, humiliated, bullied, whatever. And to understand that despite your need to react, to defend, that is there as an opportunity to break your pride. And it is by continuously breaking that pride, that humility may surface. Prior to that comes empathy. Empathy, because pride is some sort of insensitive layer that disconnects you from life and from others. It's like it closes this. So continuous hittings in your head, in your pride, starts to break these layers as you accept it. As you accept it in the right sense. Not fighting it outside, not fighting it inside. Understanding that if it is coming, it's not unjust. If you are working, spiritually working, then in somehow it is an answer to your call, to your prayers. And it has many, many things. It is there to offer you opportunity to humble yourself. It is there to establish the balance in karmas. So if it is coming, it's not out of place. So there's no point. If you accept it with the right attitude, it will make you more free and more ready. And depending on the intensity, that's where more intense, more to gain. But if you react, defend, and do what you usually do, it just piles up to what is there and just keeps on growing those layers of pride. Because you are defending it and feeding the same old structures. But if you understand what's happening and you just take it, let it break you, it will take piece by piece of it, piece by piece. And this is how true humility can blossom. Does the acceptance of our limits allow the purification of this? It depends what this means. To know the obstacles in your progression, in your spiritual work, it is important to know them. At the same time, whatever work you are doing, whatever intense practice, meditation you are doing, that is bringing though the vision of those obstacles. So if you look at the obstacles and you talk about acceptance, maybe you are saying, okay, so this is here, I cannot change it, and I accept it. And that means what? I stop my intense practices? No, they continue. As I see something that I'm really, from the bottom of my heart, doing my level best to overcome, and I'm not being able, I will not stop my efforts. I will pray. I will pray for help with all my heart. I will not rest. I will not stop my focus. And eventually, if you persist, it will open up. You see, limitations, obstacles, they are decision points. As you decide to maintain the same constructions at the level of the personality, or you don't, because overcoming your limitations, overcoming characteristics, it is possible, but it means giving one step a little bit further away from your world. And this is the biggest difficulty. And sometimes many things are lacking. The will to do it, the sincere will to do it, and that goes beyond what you think you know. And sometimes there's no merit for it. But whatever it is, if you have to wait and you continue to push, struggling hard, and you're asking sincerely, if you persist, eventually it will open up. Open up. Mind of this word, because it's not solving, you solve nothing. Because actually it opens up when things are in the right place. And sometimes this new horizon doesn't fit in your world. It doesn't. It means you have to leave your world. But as it doesn't fit, you don't even see a solution, a way out of it. So these things are so complex, but so complex, that if it was to be solved mentally, it would be impossible. So what actually makes the difference is your attitude, the way that you dive into your spiritual path, that you embrace it, how thirsty you are and how committed and what kind of sacrifices are you willing to make? Are you willing to go all the way in? Or do you have reluctances? Because this will be tested. And moving forward is just for those who are willing to go all in. Sacrificing whatever needs to be sacrificed. And the thing is, you're the one who wins, you're the one who loses. Nothing else is involved. And life is teaching you, is preparing you to the understanding that there's nothing here worthwhile. And what makes the difference is how good have you learned that lesson. Because as you know that there's something as liberation, that there is God, that there is this path of self-realization or God realization, it is time. Opportunity is there. And there's no way you'll be prepared. And each step you give into that direction, not one step in that direction and many steps in other directions, just walking into that direction. Every step brings new challenges that challenge you to develop new capabilities or let go of old ones. So the path is the preparation, is where everything works. And the simplicity of it is holding on to that desire for liberation, being committed to do whatever it takes, to sacrifice whatever is needed, to undergo whatever is needed until liberation. This doesn't need any fancy explanations, understanding the complexities of it, because whatever will come is there to make it possible to transcend your illusion. Your illusion. So whatever structures you are making is according to your illusion. Even your vision of liberation is according to your illusion. So this is why guidance is a must, because it is something that comes from the outside of your illusion. And it's like the voice outside, like imagine that you are dreaming, you don't know you're dreaming. And there's someone close to your body which is dreaming and calling you to come out of that dream. This is guidance. It's not inside, it's outside your dream. So if you're mature, you will cherish guidance. And if you're not mature, you will not share it. So you will have the world still to teach you, to make best use of guidance when it comes again, if it comes again. So it's very simple, actually. Or is it a waste of time? When you know what you need to know, what comes after is you practice intense meditation, you give your time, all your time you can to that, simplify everything else with the sole purpose of getting guidance. And when guidance comes, or when you know where guidance is, whatever it presents itself to you, then you need to embrace guidance and never let go. Because, like I explained, because many have this idea, oh, I will prepare myself. I know where's my guidance and I will prepare myself for it. This is not preparing for guidance. Because if you know, well, either you're mistaken, or if you know what you need to know, and it is time. So if you're taking this stance, it means that you're just, how do you say this, delaying it, using more of your time into your delusion. And that means you're making a conscious decision, because you're not embracing guidance, you're embracing illusion, and this is a decision. Despite you're repeating to yourself that, oh no, but I'm preparing. No, you're just using time to enjoy a little bit more. And if you're still in the enjoyment part, you're not ready for the next level. Because if you're drowning in the water, and if someone offers you a hand or a stick, a small stick, it doesn't matter what it is, you'll grab it with all your strength, with all your hope, you will grab it. If you're not grabbing it, so you're not that desperate. And if you're not that desperate, you will not be able to value it as you need to be able to move forward. So in a sense, preparing oneself in the way that it means when you say this has advantages and disadvantages. So the advantages may be that you get a little bit more proficient at recognizing the challenges and accepting them and going through them. So we could consider this good. But on the other hand, you are getting used to these structures and you are gaining the capacity to adapt. And the more plastic and adaptable you become, the worse it is. Because the circumstances that would create the impacts that potentially would break your beliefs, now your beliefs tend to adapt easier. So more strength is needed, more intensity is needed to get the same amount of results, and it will take longer and longer and longer. If you know about liberation, if you have guidance, or if you know where your guidance, this is your direction. If you don't know, so sit, meditate intensely, push everything aside until guidance appears. And when it appears, hold on to it, merge with it, no matter what the challenges are that are not enabling that. And this is the way it goes. Everything else is just wasting time. Wasting time, but from the perspective of the seeker of truth, is just using a little bit more time in the playground. But this is not naive, because once you know, there's responsibility. And what you do with what you know counts, opens up the path in front of you. So if you still are enjoying here, it may open a path here that it will be irresistible, or it may close the path towards guidance and leave you with only this, the playground, or both. And it's always in creative ways, because if you're still wanting to enjoy the playground, it means you're still connected to it. So you're probably just trying to improve your illusion, not transcending it. Because for transcending it, you must hold on to this posture. I don't want anything else from this world anymore. Not from this world, neither from the worlds beyond. I want nothing else, only liberation. And I do not dare to think about liberation, to elaborate in liberation, because I may fall prey to letting my illusion adapt itself to concepts, or to entertain some kind of hopes towards the future of this character. And that may mean much more time wasted. So I keep just liberation, just the word, just the concept of finish, without elaborating any further on it, so that I don't pollute with this mind the direction that I'm following. So when you know what you need to know, it's time for action. And you will never, ever be prepared. You will never, ever be perfect. Either you are growing in the right direction, following guidance, embracing it, embracing the challenges that come, because there's an intelligence in that. You don't need to reflect about those things. Just dive into it. Accept what is coming. And if your thirst is high, this will come more and more. And the more you can handle, the more it will pull you up. But you will die many times in the process, and you will take birth again and die again, and take birth again and die again, sometimes even very fast. But eventually, liberation is unavoidable for those who are in that spirit. Because if you're not in that spirit, that's completely different. There is nothing. Without that spirit is nothing. With this spirit, it is all, and you have a chance. A chance. But let me remind you again, if you're trying to accept God, you're not ready, because your sense of importance is still too high. When things are in the right, when you have the real clear perspective of what life is, what you're living, and what is the call of liberation, you will know that there's nothing important about you. There's nothing you have or any capability you may have that will make any difference on it. It's like a multi-billionaire lying in a hospital with a fatal disease. No amount of money will make any difference. Only a miracle will solve it. And that is in God's hands. So as it is in the hands of doctors and an expensive medical care and all of this, okay, so his money makes a difference. But when nothing of that solves it, only divine intervention, only God can make a difference. And when you're that man lying, waiting for death in the hospital, that means aware of what life is, of what the individual life is. You will not, it doesn't matter, because when people reach that point, if they don't believe in God, they start talking to God. They say, because none of their constructions matters at that point. Something bigger takes them. So when you're aware of that, you will not be trying to accept God. You'll be praying, begging for God to accept you. And you need to understand that you were never forced into illusion. And maybe now you don't understand, probably not. But your decisions are keeping you there. So it's not about being saved. It's for God to have mercy and save you. He will, when you really want to exit it. So that means when you start making different decisions. Until then, your decisions, your actions, they are saying, no, I don't want anything of this anymore, really. Or, I think I don't want it anymore, but I will enjoy it a little bit more. Or, no, I don't want it, but this don't want is part of my construction of wanting to be here. And to embrace God completely, solely, you have to let go of the rest. You cannot embrace both at the same time. Okay. Nothing else here. So if there's no more questions, then next satsang will be Wednesday, 9:30 in the morning, Brazilian time, UTC -3. We will organize ourselves better so that we can make it in YouTube also. But because of the retreat which is undergoing, things become a little bit more difficult sometimes. And by the way, these retreats, they are available for those who want to work seriously, work hard, and well, that's why they're available. Okay. So until then, like always, make the best use of your time. And that means use it all for your liberation. Use it all to make the best use of what you already know. There's no time to lose. No time to lose. Because either you are using your efforts towards your liberation, or you're using it against your liberations. That sums it all. Neutral, nobody stays. Okay. See you Wednesday.